Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my review and discussion of the Bane Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Rees, Brennan and Maureen Johnson. Now, this is a short story collection involving some of the stories that took place in the life of the warlock Magnus Bane, who's my darling if you didn't know, and it comprises of totally 10 short stories which are put together, and 3 authors have worked together on this, but most of the work has been done by Cassandra Clare herself. Also, while giving this review, the first 4 to 5 minutes as usual will be a spoiler-free one, and then I'll be getting into spoilery parts during which I'll tell you. And also, this review is not going to be in a normal way in which I segment it into plot, characters, pacing, world building and the overall rating. I'm going to do it in a different way because it's a short story collection and I cannot talk about a particular plot because the plot changes for each and every story. I'm just going to give out certain points which I think in a very spoiler-free way so that you can check out whether you want to read this book or not. So without any further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, now starting with the review, the Bane Chronicle actually consists of 11 short stories or 10 short stories and a voicemail, which is that of Magnus, after the end of City of Lost Souls. If you have read the Mortal Instruments, I'm sure you know what happens by the end of City of Lost Souls, and the voicemail of Magnus Bane is the 11th short story according to this book. And I must say, the stories have been put well together and they also occur in a very chronological order. That is, the story which happened in the first and it proceeds on towards the later years that Magnus had lived. But we don't get a lot into Magnus's life. Okay, we do get certain important points during his life which just shaped him to be the person that he is today. It's also very much visible how Magnus has developed as a character and developed as a person itself in many ways. I just liked that aspect of the book a lot. Also, it spans through over 2 centuries. The first short story takes place in 1791 and the last one actually takes place in 2007. It is somewhere in between City of Ashes and City of Bones, and it's really good in that way, the way in which they have set it in a chronological order. Also, I must say that the first 2 short stories are the ones which are not that interesting, but as the book proceeds, the further short stories in the book are really amazing to read if you ask me, and I was not able to put down as I kept on reading because the first 2 short stories which were the only ones which seemed very weak to me. But after that, as the book actually takes place in 4 different locations. The first location is Peru, the next one is Paris, and then we get a mix of New York and London throughout the story. But I should say that rather than Paris and Peru, the other 2 locations, London and New York, are the best settings for the entire book as a whole, and I liked the portions involving New York rather than the portions which involved London. I saw in certain videos that and certain reviews also that people liked the stories which involved characters from the Infernal Devices. Of course, I like both the characters from both the main series, but I was more inclined to like the stories that took place in New York, because they felt a bit more organic in many ways, and just reading about those Infernal Devices characters again, it did kindle up a lot of nostalgia while reading it, and I did love it. Certain things, the conversations that these characters have, they are just so awesome. Even we get to see the next generation of those characters and those families, which is very it is very cozy in many ways. Also, I should warn you that while you read this book, please do go in with a strong mind, because if you're a kind of an emotional reader like me during this period, I'm sure that this might make you cry in many ways, because it did make me, and I did find it very warm in many ways. It didn't make me ugly cry or sad cry in any way. It was just it was many happy tears rather than any other thing. It is really good, but it is very emotional if you had gotten very much attached to the characters like I have. And also, apart from these things, I wanted to mention one thing in specific, that is that if you want to read the Bane Chronicles, it is very much advisable to finish both the Mortal Instruments as well as the Infernal Devices, and after finishing both the series, you should pick up the Bane Chronicles. This is mainly because the book as a whole doesn't spoil the Mortal Instruments to such a great way. Okay, there are only like very small bits which are also revealed in the first book itself in the Mortal Instruments, which might be spoiled for you, but not anything that is very much necessary for the plot as a whole gets spoiled, except for what happens in the 11th short story, that is the voicemail of Magnus Bane. Except that others are okay. But I should say, if you want to read this, you should have definitely completed reading the Infernal Devices, because most of the stories involving the characters from the Infernal Devices are the best in this one. Also, the short stories which involve those characters take place only after the end of Clockwork Princess, which is the finale to the Infernal Devices. And I should say, if you want to understand how these characters interact, and if you don't want to get spoiled at all for what happens towards the end of the Infernal Devices, you must have finished reading both the Mortal Instruments as well as the Infernal Devices and then jump into this one, because then you'll be able to appreciate it more, and you'll be able to understand the relationships between these characters a lot more in a proper way, and also certain inheritance of traits. It is really awesome to read. The next thing is the main characters on which the book actually focuses. I was very much afraid that while I'm going to read the Bane Chronicles, it's mostly going to be a Malec book rather than just a Magnus book, but it did prove me wrong, because it was more about Magnus and not Malec. Because in the Mortal Instruments, while you read about Magnus, it is in some way or the other always related to Alec, and it's not the same for Alec always, because he gets his own space throughout the series, but I don't think Magnus ever does, because he's not that intricate a part of the Mortal Instruments gang as the other members are. But this is the person whom I liked the most of all the members in that crew while I read it for the first time and the second time as well, and it was just so natural to read. Apart from Magnus, some of the other important people in his life are also given a lot of importance. For example, his two main friends throughout all the centuries that he's lived, Katarina Loss and Ragnar Phil. I see that more people like Ragnar compared to Katarina, but I think I like Katarina more because she's such an underrated character. Okay, she's the one who helps Magnus more than Ragnar does, and I'm sure that Ragnar doesn't do it because Magnus has caused a lot more trouble to Ragnar compared to the trouble that he's caused to Katarina, and it is very much understandable. But I like the friendship between Katarina and Magnus rather than the friendship between Ragnar and Magnus, because it felt a bit more organic in many ways and a bit more concrete and reliable during many instances. Also, they were the two warlocks who mostly spent most of their lives in the same locations together, living together, and it was really fun. It didn't seem anything like more than friendship. It was just so solid a friendship which lasted through centuries, and the conversations that Magnus has with Katarina, they are like very genuine, so open-ended, and I just like the way it was depicted as such in the books. Also, apart from the two warlocks, two other main characters whom I liked a lot throughout reading this book are Camille and Raphael. Okay, Raphael is a character who's one of my most favorites. While I read the Mortal Instruments for the first time, I had said it in some other video also before, and I'd like to stress it again right now, because he's a character I don't think that many people understand that well, because he has this very clear ambition, and he's so self-controlled in many ways. It has been given even more depth in this one, and also his relationship with Magnus, I just loved it. Okay, also Camille is someone whom we all despise. Okay, I too despise her, but there are like 2 to 3 short stories in which Camille plays like very crucial roles in this one, and I should say all those 2 to 3 short stories, she just made her mark very fine. And I also liked the pairing of Magnus and Camille in this one. That was the most bizarre thing for me while reading the book. Also, I have already published a reading blog for this one. If you have not watched it, please do go and check it out, because I have given live updates for all the short stories as I read them in a spoiler-free way. I'll link it up in the icon and down in the description. Yeah, it was really fun to read, and if you're a person who just wants to know a lot more about Magnus Bane, and if he is your favorite character or not, do go and read this, because it is so insanely precious in many ways, if you ask me. Also, if you ask me what is my most favorite short story of all in this one, I should say that it is the Last Stand of the New York Institute. It is the one which is closest to the Mortal Instruments. Okay, it doesn't take place within the time period of the Mortal Instruments. It happens like almost 15 to 20 years before the Mortal Instruments, during which the story actually deals with the circle and how they expand and what are the things that they are doing. It consists of most of the main characters from the previous generation to the Mortal Instruments. I just love this story. Okay, I'm not going to reveal anything about it except these. Just go forward and read it. It's just so much fun. If you've read both the series, and especially I think if you like the Infernal Devices more than the Mortal Instruments, this will be even more enjoyable for you to read, because it's just so damn good. Also, if you're a Malec fan like every other person in the world, I'm sure that you'll be satisfied with this book ever so after, because the last 3 short stories are dedicated just for Magnus and Alec alone, for nothing else. Okay, it's pure ship moments, and I just love the entire experience of reading this one. And obviously, if you're not able to guess by now, I rated this one 5 stars. And yeah, that's it for the spoiler free part, and I'm going to jump into spoilers now. Okay, in the spoilery section, I'm going to discuss each and every one of the short stories in brief, like for 2 or 3 minutes max for each and every short story. And I'm also going to tell you what is my most favorite and what is my least favorite. Also, if you're still into the video and if you want to discuss a lot more about the book, I have just 2 questions for you. What was your most favorite from this short story from this book, and what was your least favorite of all? Just let me know down in the comments, and let's just get into the spoilers. The first short story, What Really Happened in Peru. I should say that What Really Happened in Peru was my second least favorite. The second short story was my least favorite because it didn't have that much to add to the book, if you ask me. The first 2 short stories still didn't have that much to add. At least the first one I can say, because it just showed this friendship between Magnus, Ragnar and Katarina, and the crazy adventures that they've been through. One of the things which I just liked a lot from the first book is how each and every one of the 3 warlocks is given importance while talking about them. Okay, it's not like we are just going to concentrate on Magnus alone and we are just going to avoid these two side characters just because they are friends. It was not at all like that. Also, I liked the love interest of Magnus in this one. His love for Imasu. He's also a mundane, so he's obviously mortal, and how Magnus handles his his breakup after Imasu breaks up with him. It didn't feel that good because in the Mortal Instruments, while he breaks up with Malec, it is really clear that he has become a lot more mature and he handles it in a proper way, Magnus, if you ask me. But in this one, he doesn't. He just drinks and goes for a ride over the desert flying. It was so hilarious. Okay, it was hilarious. Also, it didn't feel that much like Magnus to me because the Magnus that I know from both the series that I've read there is a bit more mature. Okay, he's a person who can handle stuff, and he can he can lead people to do certain things or organize certain stuff in order for them to happen in a proper way. But seeing Magnus in such a confused, helpless, devastated state just for the love, which is one of the loves that he has had, one of the many loves that he has had throughout the centuries, it did feel a bit off-putting to me because he didn't handle it well. That was the main reason. Also, the first 2 short stories had more to do with Magnus loves blue eyes and black hair. Okay, you made it clear in the Imperial Devices and the Mortal Instruments itself. I didn't want to hear that again and again and again. Okay, because every person is not just attracted for the physical features alone, and I'm sure that Magnus is also not just like that. I'm sure that he will adore people who look beautiful, okay, because he's Magnus and he doesn't shy away from what he likes. But just putting like that like a tag on him, like he likes black hair and blue eyes, it's his thing, okay, but you don't have to stress it like 500 million times within the 3 to 4 short stories that I've read. That was the one thing which was a bit disappointing to me, but it was a good short story. Also, I didn't like the ending of it because I thought that there was going to be something that happened in Peru which was going to be revealed. At last it was just like, you know what, nothing actually happened and we don't know why he was banned from Peru, and that's it, we are going to live with it. I just didn't like that ending without a closure, so yeah, that is my second least favorite. The second one is the Runaway Queen. I said that this is my least favorite, right, because it just felt like nothing at all happened. Okay, it didn't add anything to the story, if you ask me. It just showed Magnus's relationship with the vampires, or how much influence he has in the round world or something like that. It didn't add anything at all to the book, if you ask me. Simply, it didn't add anything. It didn't add anything to Magnus's character, how he behaves, nothing. It just showed how Magnus does business with mundanes and how he just reveals part of his magic in order to get his work done and earn money out of it. It was shown, but I didn't see anything else rather than just that being portrayed. Also, the black hair and blue eyes being stressed upon again. It just annoyed me a lot in the second story. Even the first one was okay because we had a lot other things rather than just the romance. But in this one, it was not even romance. It was kind of an infatuation, just an attraction, physical attraction for Magnus with that man. I don't even remember his name now. I think his name was Axel. Yeah, Axel. It was good, but I didn't feel like a story which needed to be placed in the beginning of the book itself, because it did annoy me as a reader who has read 9 books in the series already. But I'm sure that if someone just picks this up as their first book, which I don't think they should, and if they read these first 2 short stories, I'm sure that they will put down and they'll not think of picking it up again, because the first 2 are the weakest, and only from story 3 does it pick up really well. And the third one is Vampires, Scones and Edmund Handel. This is also one of my most favorite ones, if you ask me, because it just showed some of the main characters from the Infernal Devices and their predecessors, which was really nice in many ways. Also, we get to know why the Herondales hate ducks and are afraid of ducks in an even concrete way in this one, because it's due to the duck pie and not just due to some random fact, or it is not just plain inheritance due to some kind of phobia. It is actually due to eating duck pie and getting your tummy upset or something. And it is also shown really clearly that the Herondales are like very impressive. Okay, they are so jazzed. That's all I can say. It was interesting to see some of the predecessors, but they have this common thing that is going on. Also, black hair and blue eyes again. I don't want to keep saying that again and again, I think. And also, one thing which I loved in this one is Magnus's romance with Camille. Okay, that pairing was something which I didn't like. I should say I like Magnus a lot. You all know that probably. And one thing you might not know is that I like Camille also because she's such a clever character. Okay, she's so manipulative. She's such good in scheming, and I just like such characters. Okay, when you're clever and manipulative, I think that you can just make your way through anything as far as you're good and not bad. Okay, your intentions are not bad, and if you are good in manipulation, I think that you're a great person. Okay, and I want to learn certain skills like that because I don't do most things with a bad intention for others, but I'm not that great in manipulation. But Camille is. I just like that romance. Okay, I felt that it was going to be unhealthy and it was going to make me feel awkward while reading it, but it did not at all. It just was so adorable, so cute. I was like, am I just shipping Magnus and Camille right now? I was thinking that in my mind. It was so awesome. Also, the de-ruining of Edmund Herondale when he wants to marry a mundane, that is his wife from the mundane world. It was also really nice, and I just liked it a lot. The fourth one is the Midnight Heir. This is also one which is closely related to the Infernal Devices itself, because those characters they do appear in this one. When I saw Tessa and Will together, also them having kids, it was just like, okay, it was such a really awesome thing for me to see, because Magnus comes back from New York to London in order to meet them, and he meets them. Also, it was so beautiful to see. Tessa being the same age that she was when he left. She has just gained a bit more weight, and she has aged just a little. That is, she's in her early 20s. She looks just like that, but Will is in his 40s nearly, and they have children. Their elder son is 17, I think, if I'm not wrong, and I think this happens during the time of the last hours, which I'm going to read very next after finishing Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I did get a short story involving the same characters in this short story in that book. I just liked it a lot. Okay, you should definitely read Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy if you finished all the 6 books from the 2 series, because I should say, as far as I've read that one, in this one, while I read the first 4 or 5 short stories, the first 2 just disappointed me a lot, but in that one, each and everyone just gets better and better. Okay, I've read 4 short stories until now, and I've loved all the 4, and the love has just been kept on increasing. Okay, I just like all the things that are going on between the characters. We have both the TMIS plus TID characters, and that one also, it is so good. Also, we just didn't concentrate on these people. One scene which just brought tears to my eyes in the Midnight Heir was when Jem, Will and Tessa, all of them are in the room, and there's this one line which just shows that there were these 3 people in the same room who could not be with each other, but the other 2 were the only 2 people in the world whom they loved the most. It just showed their love triangle in the perfect way. That's one of the main reasons why they are the best love triangle. I just love them a lot. Also, Tatiana Blackthorn, or Lightwood, okay, and she bringing up Grace, her adopted child, that dark side, okay, of Tatiana, how she has changed, and what are the things that the Shadowhunter community has done to her that has changed her in such a brutal way. It was really good to see, okay, because most of the times it's just shown like Shadowhunters are angelic human beings, but no, they are complete asses at many moments. It is made even more clear in Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. That's one of the main reasons why I'm asking you to read this. I even thought of getting a rune tattoo in my arm, okay, sometime, but now I'm having questions. Do I really want to have something like that on my body? I can tattoo something else which I like. So yeah, I did enjoy the story, and it just added a darker flavor to the entire collection. The next one is the Rise of the Hotel du Mort. This again happens in New York, and most of the stories from now just take place in New York alone and no other location. I like that setting a lot, because that vintage period in which New York is shown in this short story collection, it is even better than the New York that is shown in the Mortal Instruments, because It's not that much civilized, I can see that, but it just feels even more real to me as a place, and I liked that depiction a lot. Also, how the Voldemort turned out to be the place that it is in the Mortal Instruments, it is also shown well. It's just my script, okay? Now, one of the main things which I liked in that one was the showcasing of a 2000-year-old warlock, okay? I didn't think that there were warlocks who lived that long. Even the Infernal Devices, Magnus says at some point that he had seen a warlock who's 1000 years old, and every one of his senses has just shut down, and he's sure that that's going to happen to him and Tessa while they grow old as well. But here he has met a 2000-year-old warlock who's not that much affected, okay? He's very powerful. He also tries to open a portal to hell and get back into into pandemonium. He just wrecks the hotel, and that's why the vampires come and take it over. It was such a good story to read, and also it revealed certain powers that Magnus had, which were not revealed that much in both the series. The next one is Saving Rafael Santiago. This was like my genuine on point hit, if you ask me, while I read the short stories, because it just felt so fulfilling in many ways, because it didn't come out of anyone's character at all, okay? Magnus was Magnus. How I knew Magnus in the Mortal Instruments, he was the same Magnus while reading the story of Raphael also Raphael also didn't change at all. It just shows his experience in the Mortal Instruments, and he has just been the person that he has been all those years, okay? Even before he died and became damned, he has been that person who has a lot of self-control, who prefers to lead and who prefers to do what feels right to him and what is also right for the people who are surrounding him, whom he is a part of, okay? The community or the group in which he is a part of. The way in which he persuades vampires in order to do stuff and not to do stuff, it is really awesome in many ways. Also, that scene in which Raphael is taken to meet his mother, and he says that he owes Magnus his life. It was so emotional in many ways. One thing which I didn't at all see coming was I was like pretty much sure that Magnus and Raphael are going to have a really nice parental relationship, because I did watch the show and I thought that, okay, if it's not there in some book, it might not be reflected as such in the show. It is there in this book, and I just felt that a lot. One thing which I just didn't see coming at all, as I said before, was Raphael and Ragnar's friendship, okay? I didn't expect that at all because they are totally different characters, okay? Ragnar is more like Magnus. Raphael is like the total opposite of Magnus. Hence, Ragnar and Raphael just hit it off, and they are like bracelet buddies, if you ask me, okay? There's also one scene in which they do a fist pump. I don't even think if fist pump was a thing 70 or 80 years back, but it just felt so comforting to read such a friendship. The next one, The Fall of the Voldemort. If you ask me, in my personal opinion, that's the most heaviest story to handle in this one, because we see Magnus in one of the darkest parts in his life that has been shown in this book. That's the part during which he has broken up with Camille, and it has been a few decades, and they are meeting again in New York, and it's not at all nice, okay? All the vampires have been drugged, and Camille is not herself. How Magnus puts all his effort that he can in order to save Camille as well as save her vampires, so that she doesn't get blamed or punished for anything by the Shadowhunters. He wants to handle and solve everything within the Downward itself, and not let it past them in order to get to the Shadowhunters, because they'll come and harm them in many ways. Also, it shows the consistency of Raphael's character, okay? While he knows that the vampires that are going to do something wrong outside their covenant, he doesn't go with them. He just separates himself from them. He tries to advise. While they don't take it, he goes separate, and he doesn't get involved in that problem. It was really good. The most painful part of everything in that short story was the climax, during which Magnus doesn't want to remember all of those memories with Camille, how he saved her and what condition she was in physically while he saved her. So he calls Katerina and makes her vanish all his memories. It was so very emotional to read. If you ask me, that's the most emotional short story in this one, and also the most sad and heavy in many ways, and I just loved it. The next one is What to Buy the Shadowhunter Who Has Everything and Whom You're Not Probably Dating Anyway. Okay, that was a really cute story to read, okay? It also showed the friendship of Magnus and Katerina in many ways. One thing which I didn't expect was that tie-in of the demon which was summoned in Clockwork Prince to be summoned here also, until it was mentioned that the demon just has like a friendly conversation with Magnus. Okay, I was like confused. Does this demon actually know Magnus before, or Magnus knows it and just prefers not to show it as such, while it keeps on stressing Will as Bill Herondale. Bill Herondale, I got it, okay. It was that monster, yeah. And it was really, really fun to read. Of all those things, the one highlight, okay, which this short story had was Izzy, okay. Izzy comes and meets Magnus, okay. This short story actually happens on the morning of Alec's birthday, and Magnus is just planning to buy some present for Alec, but he doesn't know what to buy, so he's very much frustrated. Izzy comes and they both have a chat, and he thinks that the thing that he can give Alec as a present was the protection that he can offer Isabel, and he just does some magic or he just anoints Izzy's whip with some potion and says that it'll guard her till her death or something like that. It was very, very emotional, okay. I just want certain more scenes with Magnus and Isabel together, Jace and Simon together, and Clary and Alec together, okay, with no one else, and it'll be hilarious, as well as it'll just show that special bond that they shared, which is really, really awesome in many ways. I prefer to read such kind of ones, okay. Friendships and romances are awesome, okay, but I do want certain things like that which are so polar in many ways, or so similar in many ways, like Magnus and Isabel, which was really, really awesome if you ask me. The next one is The Last Stand of the New York Institute. It is my most favorite of all the short stories, okay, because it had many tie-ins with both the series, both the Infernal Devices and the Mortal Instruments, but it had more ties with the Mortal Instruments because it it had an even more pressing weight on the Circle rather than anything else, if you ask me. We get everyone from the Circle mostly, except Jocelyn. We get to see everyone else, Valentine and Luke being Barabatai, Robert Lightwood and Stephen Herondale being Barabatai again, and after that we get Maris also. We get certain Lovelaces who are in charge of the New York Institute during that time, and how they are all massacred in that event, while the Circle is trying to just kill all the werewolves, a pack of werewolves, and it is really, really awesome, okay. There's also this mention of Valentine actually blinding a werewolf child in City of Bones when Luke says the story of the Shadowhunters to Clary, and that just tied in here, okay. We just got to see the scene in which Valentine actually sticks silver coins to a werewolf child's eyes and makes her blind, and guess who saves her? Magnus, okay. That's mainly because they don't want to get the Shadowhunters involved because they do not trust them at all, mainly because the Shadowhunters consider themselves superior and they won't most probably help the Downworlders, which was hecka in many ways, okay. I just hated that distinction and the discrimination that the Circle showed for all these people. Also, Magnus doesn't like Luke while he meets him for like most while, but finally Luke is the one who actually comes in, hugs the werewolf child, and he's actually against Valentine for having done such a thing to a child, and Magnus tries to understand I just hated this person before, but he doesn't seem to be such an awful person. It just showed many varieties of Magnus in this one, and I just ate it up a lot. Also, when Jocelyn comes to Magnus's apartment after everything is finished, after a few days, and Magnus and Tessa are in the apartment, and Clary's there with Jocelyn, and for Clary, they want to save Jocelyn and Clary, and they are going to help protect her from the Shadow World. And Jocelyn has also understood all the bad things that she has done, siding with Valentine. It was so beautiful in many ways. There are certain lines that Tessa tells there, which will definitely bring tears to your eyes if you've read both the series, because they just make complete sense, okay. The way in which she describes selecting names for themselves and how much the names matter to a person, name matters to a person. It was very awesome in many ways. Personally, I don't think so, but it just made a lot of sense, okay. I don't accept with it, but I do understand it. It was very nice in that way, and it was just so wholesome. 10th one is The Course of True Love and First Dates. It actually focuses on the first date of Magnus and Alec together. I think that is the cutest of all the stories in this one, because it just shows them as a couple and how well they go with each other, how much they are made for each other. It was really awesome in many ways, okay. I was thinking that certain times it was like overhyped in the show as well as in the books, but it just makes a lot of sense how much they just fit in, okay, rather than anything else. That one short story is, I think, more than enough, because it just showed how subtle and how perfect they are around each other. Especially I liked the scene in which how to say, Magnus gives him that black t-shirt which has a blink if you think I'm pretty or something like that. It is such an absurd thing to put on a t-shirt, but I'm sure that Magnus will own such stuff. Also, while they go and eat at the restaurant, and the waiter, actually I think he's the werewolf waiter, he ends up putting a lot more chili or making Alex food a bit more hot, and Alex all so fired up, and he's almost crying and choking with tears while eating it. Hence he doesn't reveal it for Magnus. It was very very cute in that way. Also, of all those things, another thing which I enjoyed was while Alex was up to be mugged, and his reflexes just kicked in, and he just flipped that mugger guy, and he's like, sorry dude, I didn't think that I didn't know that you were a ninja. And Alex was like, I'm not a ninja. It was so cute, okay. Alex is someone who prefers to be a bit more reserved. He's such a character himself. Also, he's not outed publicly, so he prefers to be alone all the time. But all this just grabs a lot of attention for them on their first date in public, which just makes him so embarrassed in many ways. Also, my most favorite part of all the things in that short story was their fight together. Okay, Alex Shadowhunter strength and Magnus's magic and wisdom, while they combine together, how they can easily save and solve any problem. There is this one other fight scene, okay? Except this one, we just get one other fight scene in, I think, City of Glass. I'm not sure, City of Glass or City of Lost Souls. That's the City of Lost Souls, as well as City of Glass is the book. They get to fight again together. Both of those scenes, they just show how coordinated they are with each other. They understand each other well, which was very I didn't understand it that much, but it just made a lot of sense in that short story and that fight scene. I could just see the parallels running together. It was really cute and adorable. The last one is the voicemail of Magnus Bane, which I think was not a short story. It was just the title itself, his voicemail, in which we just see a lot of voice messages from Alec, as well as all the other people in the TMI gang, especially Isabel. She's practically threatened everyone in order to talk Magnus into getting back to Alec. It was really nice. Also, I liked the way in which they both stood their ground despite the other things. Alec knows that Alec thinks that he realizes that he has done wrong, but he also understands that there is something right in his side also. So it is just made clear in the last voice message, which was good if you ask me. Also, in the first one, during which Magnus doesn't reply at all. He doesn't reply for any of the messages. Izzy just tries many ways. She makes Clary call, she makes Simon call, she makes Maya call. Everyone just flood up his machine with messages. Also, we also get some messages from a company who are trying to recruit Magnus in order to do certain thing with toads or something, which was so hilarious in many senses if you ask me. It was sensitive as well as humorous, the last one, and I just enjoyed reading it as a whole. And yeah, that's it for today. And if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel, because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.